Times. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, here we go. 5 o'clock hour. Cowboys are kind of winding through, as everybody else is in the NFL, their preseason or exhibition schedule. And we're joined by John Machota. John, thanks for your time. There's still constantly that should Dak play? Should he be a part of the preseason? Would it be better for people to fall around him and kind of get used to people around his feet, ankles, or whatever? Do you feel like he's going to play at all in the preseason?
No, I don't. I think that this game Saturday was going to be his last hope, or their team's last hope. I don't even think he really cares at the end of the day. I think that it would have been better to get him a few snaps than not, or at least a few series, but just because he missed so much time last year, but that doesn't appear to be the case. And what's interesting about that is it could lead to them just really being rusty to start the season. Now, I know that they're a veteran bunch and you know, for the most part, but I still think that you need some reps together, and there's only so much you can simulate and practice. And what else is kind of interesting to me is, like, what should be out there week one as their starting lineup on offense. That'll be the first time that, like, that entire group has played together in certainly a game, but even in like a team drills thing. Because if you go back to last year, okay, rookie year, well, Lyle Collins missed the whole season. And so now you're trying to go into this season with, you know, Lyle and Tyron and Zach all back, with CD, with Dak healthy, you know, Darwin back out there for, you know, he only played one, not even a full game, but a half. Michael Gallup back out there, Amari Cooper. Like, it looks great on paper. But there's going to be I think there's going to be some rust early on, and maybe to them, they're fine with it. I mean, they're not going to sit there and say this, but there's a part of me that's like, well, if you lose that first game, I mean, how many people really expect them to beat the defending Super Bowl champs in their building? If you do, great, but if not, it's not like the season's over. So let's get to week one with Dak healthy and see what happens. And so I think that's the way that they're looking at it. And that's the goal all along. And now they will go to week one with Dak healthy.
I know Lyle Collins left practice today with some sort of upper body injury. How concerned are the Cowboys with that?
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's anything serious. You know, he left. He was held out of like some team drill stuff. But, I mean, he didn't immediately, like, usually when it's something significant, a guy will go right to the locker room, and that wasn't the case here. Just he spent some time talking to head athletic trainer Jim Maurer, and in a way, it kind of almost looked like some of the same, you know, exercises that he was putting Dak through with his throwing shoulder. It looked like it was an upper body, like, you know, either a shoulder or neck. He was doing a lot of different movements with his neck and things like that. But, like I said, I mean, he didn't rush immediately to the locker room like it was something that needed to be looked at right away. But clearly enough for him not to finish practicing. So it doesn't sound like it's anything too serious, but of course, you know, I mean, with anybody that's missed a significant amount of time because of injuries, you always have some concern there. So yeah, basically Ty Nsekhe jumped in at right tackle and finished out the rest of the drills there. But while I don't think it's anything serious, it is the type of thing where, you know, you have something like that, and all of a sudden it's like, all right, he's not playing in any of his preseason games left now, too. So why don't we just sit you on the sideline until week one, too? So, you know, those first few series of that Tampa Bay game could be pretty wild.
John, I know that you write a piece for The Athletic each week following the Hard Knocks episode, kind of highlighting the standout moments. But do you have a particular moment or two from the latest episode that you'd like to share?
You know, I'll tell you, this last one, I don't know, it didn't really meet my expectations. I'm not as quite as critical of it as others. So I've seen some people comment that they're putting it in the running as the most boring Hard Knocks episode ever, which is really saying that's a lot of seasons. So I'm not going to go that far. I haven't watched every season and every episode, but it's funny because I think they can always just fall back on, like, I think they just have all this backup footage where it's like, hey, if it's not that entertaining, don't worry, we got some of these Z clips to fall back on, we'll be good, you know. So I like the idea of, you know, going with CD kind of back to his room while he's packing his bags to, you know, basically their last practice before they were leaving for Arizona, and then ultimately coming back here, and just him talking about how he's not really content with what he's done. He loves seeing all these videos and all of his work on social media because it is a daily thing, but it's not like that does anything for him. Like, yeah, I don't know, he just seems like real hungry, and it was cool to see some of that behind the scenes there. So that kind of stood out to me a little bit, and then just seeing some of the behind the scenes with them talking about like what Dak was doing and stuff like that. Seeing Mike McCarthy talk to Cliff Kingsbury before the game, saying basically the same stuff he's told us about Dak. that, nothing too serious there. But I mean, hey, if you're for the heartwarming, Azur Kamara stories and Isaac Alarcon and stuff like that, hey, maybe that's for you. Me personally, I'm just kind of like, let's just keep it about like the star players because it's the Dallas Cowboys. But I get everybody's different and they want to have a little bit of something for everyone. One other thing I will point out, I'm just kind of surprised there hasn't been more Jerry Jones. There's a little bit in the first episode, not very much in the second one. I'm kind of wondering if they're saving stuff for the last couple episodes or whatnot. But I thought there would be more Jerry Jones up to this point.
John, do you think that Liev Schreiber started laughing while he was – I feel like he was laughing when they're doing the yoga thing because it was very smart writing. The yoga thing, something in between, and then Zeke talking about how he needed baby powder.
He has to. I mean, there's just – because here's the thing, like when you get that script sent to you or whoever writes it, and then I just find hardly just reads off of a thing and doesn't like really even watch or see what clip he's talking about. So I don't understand. I don't know how anybody couldn't laugh at that just because it's one of those things where, stuff like that goes on, but you're just kind of like, one, these guys know they're mic'd up. So like, how far are they going to take it? And then two, you're kind of like a little surprised. They're like, oh, I'm surprised. Because here's the thing. I think everyone needs to know that like everything that they get, all their footage, everything that's recorded, they don't air just whatever they think is the best stuff. I mean, there still is an editing process that goes on. The Cowboys have a say in it too. And so when stuff like that's left in, I'm kind of like, what are they cutting out? Because it seems like they're putting in most stuff. I think the one area where to me, just watching these first two episodes, I think that where they're really getting the editing say is like team meeting type stuff. And when I mean that, I mean more of like the coaches meetings and stuff. I wish there'd be more of that stuff. I wish there'd be more of the coaches talking about what they saw in practice and a player that caught their eye and things like that. And there's been none of that so far, but we have seen plenty of footage of in the coaches, room talking about Dak's injury. We've seen in the different position group rooms. So we know the cameras are in those rooms, but they're leaving out a lot of that stuff when they're talking about how a player's doing and things like that. That's the stuff that would really fascinate me.
So, John, we had David Hellman on recently, and we got to talking about Amari Cooper and just what an interesting cat he is. And David said that he's like by far one of the most, interesting people that he has a chance to talk to. I know you've had some quotes up as well on Amari, talking about his personality and whatnot. Do you feel the same way in talking to him, being around him, and just seeing how different of a cat, so to speak, he is?
Yeah, absolutely. I just, for the position he plays, it just is one of those positions where it seems like, there are other players that are like Amari where they just kind of let their play do the talking, but there's a ton of, especially the star wide receivers for a long period of time where a lot of times they're very outspoken, demonstrative, like they're the kind of almost like the heartbeat of the team. Certainly that was the case, 90s Cowboys and Michael Irvin, and just sticking with the Cowboys, you go into like T.O. and Des Bryant, and so you're used to that, type of wide receiver like that, is very vocal about, I want the ball in big moments, things like that. And it's the exact opposite of that, to the point where like, I think it's great for CD Lamb. I just don't see where Amari would CD back in any way. And I don't think it would bother Amari if CD had better numbers than Amari. And just how many number one receivers in the league can you honestly say that about? I can say most of them would probably say they wouldn't care, but actually wouldn't care if another player, especially only a second-year player in the team, put up better numbers than them. I really don't think that Amari does care, though. As long as they're winning and the team's playing well, I don't think it would be a big problem for him if CD stepped into, being viewed on the outside as that quote-unquote number one wide receiver. Like, Amari really does not seem to care about that. And on his play style, I think it helps because it doesn't really matter if the Cowboys are up a ton or they're down a ton. Like, he kind of is the same guy every single time. Like, remember that first year he was with the Cowboys, that half that season. I remember him having that one touchdown where like he did that celebration where everyone gathered around and he shot the ball through the uprights like he was shooting a free throw. And I just remember being like, wow, I can't believe Amari did that. And it wasn't even really that big of a deal, but it's just like even something like that, other than just almost like a Barry Sanders type thing. Like, you're almost surprised if he doesn't just throw the ball back to the ref after a touchdown. So I don't know. I think it's good for this team, to be honest with you. And here's the thing, like, his lack of showing that passion, I think, is led to a lot of scrutiny about him, and it's maybe even factored into why the Cowboys were able to get him, and the Raiders were willing to move on. And obviously he's a tremendous talent. I mean, not only just what he did at Alabama and being the high draft pick, but we've already seen it with the Cowboys. I mean, there's not too many guys, if there are any, that are better route runners than Amari Cooper. So I think he's like the perfect fit for CeeDee Lamb. And I say that because this team really does have like two number one receivers.
John, swing tackle is still a huge question. Does Zach Martin really the swing tackle, and they really have like a swing guard in Connor McGovern now?
Zach never said that he doesn't want to play tackle. I mean, he played it at Notre Dame, but then since he's been with the Cowboys, it's been right guard the entire time. And, that entire time has pretty much been the best right guard, or one of, if not the best right guards in football during that entire time. So I think he feels most comfortable there. I think they would like to leave him there. So I'll say that if, let's say, they start the season and Lyle Collins wasn't able to go in the opener, I think Ty Nsekhe would start. If things didn't go well, I think the contingency plan would be to move Zach back out there if they needed to, if it was just a disaster. But I think that they would prefer to leave Zach in that close to the middle. He can help with calls, working next to, Biotic and then let Ty Nsekhe right tackle or even left tackle if it was for Tyron Smith. But Zach Martin's in there. He's in the conversation. He can be used at that position. I just don't think it's their first option. I think they'd rather go before they turn to Zach Martin.
All right, John, thank you very much. As always, John Machota, theathletic.com, covers the Cowboys with us most every Wednesday in the top of the 5 o'clock hour. That's John Machota. Now,